Doctors have known for decades that belief alone can heal. It's called the placebo effect, and it's one of the strangest, best documented findings in medicine. But here's what fewer people know. Belief has an evil twin. It's called the nocebo effect, and it works exactly backwards. Instead of belief creating healing, belief creates harm. Real harm, measurable harm. Tell someone a pill might cause nausea, and a striking number of them will actually feel nauseous. Even when the pill is nothing but sugar, their body isn't lying to them. The nausea is real. Their brain manufactured it from nothing but an expectation. Now here's the part that should worry every manager listening. This exact pattern shows up inside your workplace constantly, and almost nobody notices it happening. Picture a typical reorganization announcement. A manager stands up or sends an email and says something like, "This transition is probably going to be painful and confusing." Sounds honest, right? Sounds like responsible communication. But watch what happens inside your employees' heads the second they hear that sentence. Their brains start priming for stress before a single actual change has occurred. Nothing has gone wrong yet. Nobody has struggled with anything yet. But the nervous system doesn't wait for evidence. It starts bracing immediately, purely off the framing it was just handed. This isn't a guess. Studies on workplace change management have found something that sounds almost impossible, but shows up consistently. Teams that were told a new system would be difficult reported more difficulty using it. Teams told the exact same system would be simple reported fewer problems using identical software. Same tool, identical interface, identical training, identical rollout. The tool itself never changed. The only thing that changed was the sentence spoken before people opened the software for the first time. Read that again, because it's the whole video in one line. The framing beforehand changed employee expectations, and those expectations changed the actual, lived experience of the exact same tool. Think about how strange that is. We like to believe difficulty is an objective property of a system. A tool is either intuitive or clunky. A process is either smooth or broken. But that's not fully true. A huge portion of what we experience as difficulty is something we actively co-author, based on what we were told to expect before we ever touched it. Two people can go through an identical onboarding flow and walk away with completely different verdicts, purely because someone said a different sentence to them beforehand. This isn't limited to software either. Once you start looking for it, think about a new hire's first week. Tell someone the onboarding process here is a mess. Brace yourself and watch them arrive already scanning for evidence the process is a mess. Tell a sales team a new quota system is going to punish them, and watch morale sink before a single number has actually changed. Tell a customer service team that an upcoming policy change is going to make angry customers even angrier, and the very first slightly terse email of the week gets read as proof of disaster when on any normal week it would have been shrugged off as Tuesday. So why would a manager ever do this to their own team? Almost never on purpose. Usually it comes from a good instinct gone slightly wrong. Managers who constantly warn about upcoming stress often think they're managing expectations responsibly. They think they're being honest, being protective, cushioning the blow in advance. It feels like emotional armor. In reality, they often manufacture the very stress they fear. Negative framing doesn't just describe a hard transition accurately. It actively creates one that might not have needed to be that hard at all. Here's where it gets genuinely interesting. Because this isn't just a communication trick or a motivational speaking gimmick. There's a real mechanism behind it, and it comes down to how your brain processes ambiguous signals. Neuroscientists suggest expectation changes how the brain interprets ambiguous physical signals, like fatigue or irritation, or a frustrating 5 minutes with new software. These signals are ambiguous by nature. Your body sends up a vague flare, and your brain has to decide what that flare means. Once you expect discomfort, your brain starts scanning for evidence that confirms it. It isn't being dishonest with you. It genuinely believes it found proof, because it was told in advance exactly what to look for. Think of it like walking into a dark room after someone tells you there might be a spider in there. Every strand of hair brushing your neck suddenly feels like 8 legs. Nothing changed in the room. your detection threshold changed. You started interpreting neutral, ambiguous sensations through the lens of the warning you were just given. That's precisely what happens to an employee who was told the new system is going to be a nightmare. The moment they hit one confusing menu, their brain doesn't file it as a normal, forgettable hiccup. It files it as confirmation. See? I told you this was going to be bad. This lines up with something else that's been observed for a long time, in a completely different setting. Ambiguous, neutral cues get interpreted according to whatever expectation was planted first, whether that expectation came from a doctor, a teacher, or a manager standing at the front of a room. The specific setting changes. The underlying mechanism doesn't. A brain handed a vague warning goes looking for a reason to agree with it, and it is remarkably good at finding one, even in situations that are objectively fine. It's also worth noticing how fast this spreads socially, not just individually. One employee mutters, "This is going to be a disaster," in the hallway before a rollout even starts. Nobody fact-checks that sentence. Nobody asks for evidence. It just gets nodded along to, because it matches the general mood the manager already set in the announcement. Within a day, that offhand sentence has been repeated in 3 different Slack channels, and it has quietly become the team's shared, unquestioned baseline expectation. Belief doesn't stay contained to one mind for long. It moves through a team the same way it moves through a single nervous system, gathering false confirmation as it goes. Now stack that pattern across an entire team, repeated over weeks. Every minor annoyance during a rollout gets treated as further proof the process is broken, rather than as the completely normal friction that shows up in almost every software transition. The negative framing didn't just predict the difficulty, it built the lens the whole team used to interpret every future data point. Meetings turn into venting sessions. Small glitches become evidence exhibits. A tool that might have taken 2 awkward days to learn instead takes 2 frustrated weeks. Not because the software changed, but because everyone was primed to keep score against it. And once a team starts keeping score against something, they get very good at finding more points to add to the tally, whether those points are fair or not. Here's the part almost nobody expects though, and it's the piece that actually matters for how you run a team. This is not a case for lying to your people about real difficulty ahead. If a transition is genuinely going to be hard, hiding that isn't leadership. It's setting your team up to feel blindsided and betrayed later, which causes its own separate damage. What's being described here isn't dishonesty. It's precision. It means separating an honest, specific warning from unnecessary catastrophizing dropped in before a rollout even begins. There's a real difference between "this system has a steep learning curve around the reporting module, so budget extra time there," and "brace yourselves, this is going to be rough." The first sentence is useful information. It's specific, it's actionable, and it respects your team's intelligence. The second sentence is vague emotional weather forecasting, and all it does is prime a nervous system for a storm that may never have needed to arrive at that intensity. One prepares people, the other infects them. It helps to actually hear the difference side by side, because the gap is smaller in wording than people expect, and bigger, in effect, than people expect. Compare, "This migration will probably be a nightmare for the first few weeks," with "This migration has a learning curve. Expect a few rough days, and reach out the moment something blocks you." Compare, "I won't lie to you, this reorg is going to be messy," with "Some parts of this reorg are still being finalized. Here's exactly what's confirmed and what isn't yet." Compare, "Brace yourselves for a painful quarter," with "This quarter has some real challenges. Here is specifically what they are and what we're doing about each one." Notice that the honest content barely changes between each pair. What changes is whether the sentence hands your team a fog to dread or a map to follow. So what's the actual, practical takeaway for anyone managing people through change? Watch your language before any change announcement, not after things go wrong. Before. Because how you frame difficulty often decides how difficult it actually becomes for everyone in that room, or reading that email, or watching that recording later. This applies to reorganizations. It applies to new software rollouts. It applies to leadership transitions, office relocations, process changes, even something as small as switching project management tools. The content of the change matters, but the frame you put around it, spoken minutes or days before anyone experiences a single second of it, matters just as much, sometimes more. Here's my own read on why this hits managers specifically harder than almost anyone else in an organization. A manager's words carry disproportionate authority. When a peer complains that a new tool is annoying, employees can shrug it off as one person's opinion. When a manager frames something as difficult, it lands with the weight of an official forecast. It sounds less like an opinion and more like a warning from someone with better information than the rest of the room. That authority is exactly why casual, offhand catastrophizing from leadership is so much more dangerous than the same words coming from anyone else in the building. You're not just sharing a feeling. You're quietly setting the expectation baseline for dozens of brains at once, before those brains have any data of their own to work from. Think about how far this echoes beyond software rollouts. Performance review season, merger announcements, reorganization rumors that turn out smaller and gentler than feared, even the framing around a simple schedule change. In every one of these situations, the same nocebo mechanic quietly runs in the background, whether anyone in the room is aware of it or not. People aren't just reacting to what's happening. They're reacting to what they were told to expect would happen, filtered through a nervous system that's actively hunting for confirmation of the warning it was given. This also explains something that quietly confuses a lot of managers after the fact. Two teams go through what looks, on paper, like the exact same transition. One team comes out the other side, fine, mildly annoyed, back to normal within a week or two. The other team comes out shaken, exhausted, convinced the whole thing was a disaster. Leadership often assumes the difference must be team quality, or team resilience, or some vague culture gap between the two groups. Sometimes that's true, but very often, the real difference traces back to a handful of sentences spoken in a kickoff meeting weeks earlier. One manager framed the change as a manageable adjustment. The other manager, trying to be transparent and caring, accidentally framed it as an incoming storm, and their team dutifully found the storm. This shows up especially sharply during mergers and acquisitions and during layoffs that leave a smaller team behind. Leaders often warn the remaining staff to expect a rough integration, expect friction with the new systems, expect culture clashes. Some of that friction is real and worth naming plainly, but a portion of what gets reported afterward as culture clashes, on closer inspection, simply the nocebo effect running at organizational scale. Two companies merge their calendars, their expense systems, their reporting lines. Employees who were braced for a clash interpret every small difference as evidence of incompatibility. Employees who were told plainly that some systems will differ and here's how to handle that, tend to describe the exact same transition as smoother, sometimes even calling it a non-event a few months later. There's also a compounding cost here that most organizations never measure. Change fatigue doesn't only come from having too many changes. It also comes from having too many changes announced with dread baked into the delivery. A team that hears calm, specific framing across 5 transitions in a year ends the year steadier than a team that heard catastrophic framing across the same 5 transitions, even if the actual content of those 5 changes was identical on paper. The changes themselves aren't what wears people down fastest. The accumulated weight of being told again and again to expect pain is. None of this requires you to become a corporate cheerleader who insists everything is always fine. Forced positivity has its own credibility problem, and employees can smell insincerity from across a conference room in seconds. What it requires instead is discipline. Before you announce any change, pause and actually separate the facts from the emotional forecast riding along with them. State what is actually true, as specifically as you can manage. Then check whether the language wrapped around that truth is doing useful work, or whether it's just an unfiltered dump of your own anxiety onto a room full of people who are about to mirror it straight back at you. It also helps to remember that your team is watching your tone as closely as your words. A calm sentence delivered with tight shoulders and a nervous laugh still transmits the warning underneath it. Precision has to run all the way through, not just live in the script. Say what's genuinely hard, plainly, once. Then stop adding weather commentary on top of it. And if you catch yourself about to soften bad news by dramatizing it first, Ask whether that drama is actually protecting your team or just protecting you from the discomfort of delivering plain, calm honesty. Before you send the next change announcement, try running it through a simple filter. Read every sentence and ask, is this a fact my team needs, or is this my own anxiety, dressed up as a warning? Facts belong in the memo. Anxiety belongs in a private conversation with a peer, or a mentor, or frankly, a therapist, not broadcast to 40 direct reports who will now carry it into every meeting for the next month. This single filter, applied honestly, quietly removes most of the catastrophizing language that sneaks into change announcements without anyone intending it to be there. It's also worth remembering that trust compounds the same way expectation does. A manager who consistently frames real difficulty with calm, specific language earns something valuable over time. Their team starts to trust that when something really is a 5-alarm problem, it will be named as one, clearly, without inflation. That trust is what lets a genuine warning land with full weight when it truly matters, instead of getting lost in a pattern of routine, low-grade doom that trained everyone to tune out the noise. Confidence, stated plainly and honestly, costs nothing extra to deliver in a memo. It doesn't take more time to write. It doesn't require hiding anything from anyone. It doesn't demand you promise a smooth ride you can't actually guarantee. It just means choosing calm, specific, accurate language over vague dread. And that small choice, made once, before a single person has touched the new system or walked into the new org chart, quietly changes how many people struggle unnecessarily afterward. So the next time you're about to warn your team that something is going to be hard, pause for 1 second. Ask yourself whether you're preparing them, or whether you're the one about to hand them the very pain you claim you're protecting them from. Because just like that sugar pill causing very real nausea, your words don't just describe the change coming for your team. Sometimes, they're the thing that actually makes it hurt. Hit follow if this changed how you see your team.